Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam murirayat. Nashabhayeshu deshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtikim yam pravajantam apeta krita dvaipana virahachvahava putreti tanvaya tattaro vinedus tam sarvabhutam hridam munimanatosmi nigamakalpataror galitam palam sukamagadam ritadivasam mudam vivada bhagatam rasamalayam muhurohorasikabu vibhavukaham. So, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, whenever he was speaking, before he was speaking on the Bhagavatam or on Bhagavad Gita, he was chanting Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girirava Radhari, Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, showing that actually that is the goal, to be absorbed in CC, Radha Krishna's pastimes, in remembering them, hearing about them and glorifying them. But of course for that there is a need to have the necessary qualification, and so therefore he also spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam right from the first canto till the 9th canto, and speaking Bhagavad Gita, so that first of all we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and that we are not this body, that we are spirit soul, that we have an eternal relationship with Him. And not only theoretically, but then practically we have to realize that we are not this body. Then we become qualified to truly be able to appreciate the wonderful pastimes of Krishna with all the Brijabasis, but especially then with the gopis. So in this song Radha Madhava, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote for his beloved deities Radha Madhav, who are actually now coming every year to our temple in Sri Vrindavan Dham for Kartik month. And they are staying there usually for 1 month. So for Sri Radha Krishna, he wrote this beautiful song glorifying them. Radha Krishna, Radha Madhav, in Vrindavan Dham, in the Kunjas, performing their wonderful pastimes. At Govardhan, Krishna lifting Govardhan hill, as Maharaj will speak. This evening we will hear from him, and the loving exchange which is there with the gopis especially also, but with all the Brijabasis. Yashoda Nandana, Brajajana Ranjana, he is the son of Maria Yashoda, the darling of all the Brijabasis. Yamuna Tira Vanachari, and is strolling along the banks of the Jamuna, performing his pastimes, sometimes with his friends and the cows and the calves, and sometimes with the gopis, performing his wonderful pastimes. So today, so now we're starting with attempting to speak something about the Venu Gita from the 10th canto, the 21st chapter, which is very wonderful. And as Maharaj was explaining also yesterday, the 5 chapters which are dealing with the Rasa dance, Rasa Panchodhyay, Panch Adhyay, 5 chapters are there. So they are just like the 5 Pran, Vayu, the 5 airs in Krishna's transcendental body. So Geet, so that means the song, as we know, and the Venu, so that means there is the glorification of the Venu, of the flute of Krishna, the transcendental flute of Krishna. And Krishna, the source of everything, who has all transcendental qualities, unlimited transcendental qualities. So especially 4 qualities are there which nobody else has. All the different expansions of Krishna incarnations, they have also practically have unlimited qualities. In the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami Pad has explained 64 qualities which Krishna has. 4 qualities which only he has and nobody else has. So one of them is the Venu Madhurya, when Krishna is playing the flute. The wonderful effect of Krishna when Krishna is playing the flute. And so to some extent it is explained here in this chapter. And then the Rupa Madhurya, the wonderful transcendental form of Krishna, most beautiful personality. And then the Prema Madhurya, the loving exchange between Krishna and his eternal associates in Braj, surpassing all other relationships of all the other incarnations or expansions of the Lord in the spiritual realm. And then the Lila Madhurya, the most wonderful pastimes of Krishna and Braj, again surpassing all other transcendental pastimes of the various expansions of the Lord. So we'll start with the first verse from this Venu Gita, and we can chant together. Shri Shuka Vacham Idam Sharat Sachajalam Padmakara Sugandhinam Navishadvayunavatam Sago Gopalako Achyutam Shri Shukavacham Idam Sharat Sachajalam Padmakara Sugandhinam Nyavishadvayunavatam Sago Gopalako Achyutam. So one Prabhu can, Maharaj, you like to chant, or one of the Prabhus can chant? You can chant, yeah?
Shri Sukavacha, Idam Sharat Svachajalam,
Idam Sharat Svachajalam,
Padmakara Sugandhina,
Padmakara Sugandhina,
Nyavishadvayunavatam,
Nyavishadvayunavatam,
Sago Gopalako Achyuta,
Sagopalako Achyuta. So one of the Matajis can chant. Shri Sukavacha, Idam Sharat Svachajalam, Padmakara Sugandhina, Nyavishadvayunavatam, Sago Gopalaka Achyutam. The word for word, Shri Sukavacha. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, Itam, in this way, Sharat, of the fall season, Svacha, clear, Jalam, having water, Padmakara, from the lake filled with lotus flowers, Sugandhinam, with a sweet fragrance, Navishat, he entered, Vayuna, by the breeze, Vatam, ventilated, Sa, with, Go, the cows, Gopalaka, and the cowherd boys, Achyutam, the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus the Vrindavan forest was filled with transparent autumnal waters and cooled by breezes, perfumed with the fragrance of lotus flowers, growing in the clear lakes. The infallible Lord, accompanied by his cows and cowherd boyfriends, entered that Vrindavan forest. So this is the translation by the disciples of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As we know, Srila Prabhupada, he translated the Srimad Bhagavatam till the 10th canto and 40 chapters. So including the Brahma Vimohan Lila and then the prayers of Lord Brahma. And Vajsundar Prabhu has started this morning giving the introduction about this pastime. So Prabhupada translated up to this point, and then after the disciples were continuing, of course Srila Prabhupada wrote the Krishna book, which is no different from the 10th canto. So I will read also from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation on the verses, because we're supposed to, especially talking about this very wonderful pastimes of Krishna in Braj, and especially with his most beloved gopis, so we should always refer to the spiritual master, what they have said, and the previous acharyas. So Shukadeva Goswami is explaining how interesting also to know, of course, Shri Shuka Vacha. So the acharyas have explained Shriya Shuka, that actually Shukadeva Goswami is a parrot in Braj. Shriya Shuka, the parrot of Srimati Radharani. Of course, in Braj there are so many parrots who are eternal associates of Krishna. Krishna has his own parrots, and then Srimati Radharani, she has her own parrots. And they all have their names, different names. And so of course Shuka usually means the male parrot, and Sari means the female parrot. Anyone knows any names of the parrots of Krishna? Nobody knows? Daksha, one of them is known as Daksha, expert. Expert in what? Expert in glorifying Krishna. And Srimati Radharani, her parrots are there, and one of her names is Shobha, very auspicious and beautiful. And Manjubhashani, who is speaking very sweetly, of course also about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And usually the male parrots, they are glorifying Krishna, and the female parrots, they are glorifying Srimati Radharani. And so, who has taught them actually how to glorify? That is explained by the acharyas. So, Srimati Radharani has taught the male parrots how to glorify Krishna. And Krishna has taught the female parrots how to glorify Srimati Radharani. So some of the acharyas have explained. So Shukadeva Goswami is most qualified to describe these wonderful pastimes of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, but especially the 10th canto, and especially then about Krishna's wonderful loving exchanges with his eternal associates, all the Brijbasis, and then especially also with the gopis, his most beloved and most dear associates. And of course the Brijbasis, the most exalted as we know are the gopis. But all the Brijbasis, they have so much love for Krishna, they are exalted. As we will see in this chapter also, by the gopis, they are glorifying all the other Brijbasis. And that is one of the quality of the advanced devotees. And as Prabhupada in the Krishna book, so he has related these different pastimes of the Lord, and he has given also the philosophy for our understanding, so we can advance. And so the most exalted devotees, they never think, oh, I'm a pure devotee. They feel, I'm most unqualified. Today actually I just read one quote about humility, Dainatva. And that is actually explained by Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And so we're discussing Bhagavatam, as Prabhuji also Brajsunda has explained yesterday, how Parikshit Maharaj, so the introduction to the Bhagavatam, and how at the end, so he prepared to enter the spiritual realm, But then it is also mentioned that just at this time, when everybody was just about to leave, then Parikshit's mother came, Uttara, and she was then inquiring about Parikshit Maharaj. So what did you hear from Shukadeva Goswami? Because usually, traditionally at that time, previous times, so the speaker was there, a great devotee of the Lord, and then the listeners were there, and usually at that time all the male members were there of the society, and the females members, they were at home and they were waiting for the husbands or the children to come and preparing the food, the bhoga to be offered to the Lord, taking care of the house and everything. And then the great sages, they were telling their wives, or if they were the children, to their parents, what they had heard from these great personalities. But she knew that Parikshit is going to leave this body. So therefore she quickly went there and inquired. And then Parikshit Maharaj, so he told her in brief the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami Pad. And that is in two parts. One is about Narada Muni, who has gone to different places and seeing different devotees and always glorifying the devotees. Just see, Narada Muni also the greatest Vaishnava practically, almost also. Of course, there are so many greatest Vaishnavas, Haridasya Varya, the greatest of the devotees of the Lord. So many. So Narada Muni is one of them himself. And he's not thinking, I'm the greatest devotee. No. He went to different places and always glorifying, oh, the best devotee of the Lord. And each time that devotee is saying, and then also saying, you're the best devotee, you're most dear to the Lord. And each time the devotee is saying, no, I'm not the best devotee of the Lord. I'm not most dear to the Lord. You go to that person. So in this way, so first it was in Prayag. He went there and glorifying one Brahmana, and he was there with his family, how he's worshipping the Lord. And he sent him to one king in South India, and he then went there, Narada Muni, glorified him, and the same thing happened. He sent him to Lord Indra. So going on and going on and going on, till at the end they come to Braj. Of course, even there, Yudhishthira Maharaj is addressed as Haridasya Varya, the best of the servants of Krishna, of Hari. And he's saying, no, I am not. You should go to Uddhav. He's the best friend of Krishna. He's a prime minister in arranging the affairs in Dwarka of the kingdom. He's related to Krishna. Best friend, he's the best of the servants and most dear to Krishna. And he's saying, no, I'm not. You should go to Braj and see all the Brijbasis. And he was telling about himself. So that is a symptom of the great devotees. And there, of course, Narada is glorifying Govardhan, Haridasya Varya, as the greatest of the devotees of Hari. And in this chapter we will see Srimati Radharani herself. She was glorifying Govardhan as the greatest devotee. But we see and we understand, and all the acharyas, they've actually explained who the greatest devotees are, and these are the gopis. And indirectly also, of course, in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, it is quite evident and explained by Sanatana Goswami that the gopis are actually the most exalted of all the devotees of the Lord. Even Bhishma Dev, after the fighting between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, lying on the deathbed, and he was able to leave his body by his own will. So he was just waiting for the proper time to depart from this world. So he was on a bed of arrows, arranged by Arjuna, so he could lie down on a bed of arrows. So ready to give up his body. And there, so he was instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj, and there he was glorifying the gopis also as the most exalted of Krishna's devotees. So everyone is actually recognizing that. And so the gopis, they themselves, they don't think we are the greatest devotees. So that will be evident also in this chapter. They are seeing that, oh, so many others are there, and they are so fortunate. They are most fortunate, and they are so close to Krishna, so dear to Krishna. So that is a symptom of a great devotee. And so in the Brihad Bhagavata Emerita, that was the point I was making about this humility. And that is explained by Narada Muni. Pakva Dainatva, the ripe humility. So different degrees of humility. So when we first come to Krishna consciousness, we understand that actually we are so fallen and we don't know anything. And then naturally we are humble, paying obeisances to all the Vaishnavas, to the deities. And then even in the beginning when we are then allowed to be initiated and then to go on the altar, one is very fearful and very humble. So which is very good, but sometimes that humility goes away also sometimes, but it should not, it should increase, it should become ripe. Because that humility in the beginning, it is not ripe. But it has to become ripe, and that is when one is realized on the transcendental platform, Atma Tattva. Then it becomes Pakka, when one is on the transcendental platform beyond the three modes of material nature. Same with the faith, Drira Vishwas. In any circumstances, always depending on Krishna. As Maharaj was explaining about the symptoms of surrender, Sharanagati. Who can fully surrender? Our surrender in the beginning, it is conditional. We're trying to surrender. We're going to the temple offering obeisances, following sadhana bhakti. But the full surrender is there when we are on the transcendental platform. And then the full faith will be there. Driyar Vishwas, Purna Sharanagati. So the gopis, they're the personification of the humility. And of the full faith and full dependence on Krishna and full surrender to Krishna. And actually we can see also that Shukadeva Goswami is speaking here, and so he's glorifying Krishna, of course, here and the description of the flute. But then indirectly we can see that actually there's a glorification of the gopis also, of Srimati Radharani is there. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially in the 10th canto, especially in the topics here between Krishna and the gopis. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so he's explaining here in this first verse how the gopis, they're actually feeling a little pain. So of course that is transcendental pain by hearing Krishna's flute. So therefore they are singing the glories of the flute. So actually there are so many transcendental emotions there which are coming up in the gopis' heart. So as we know, we also have so many emotions. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are distressed, sometimes we are sad, sometimes we are angry. And they're actually there, these emotions, in the material world because they are there in the spiritual world. But they are the perverted reflections of these transcendental emotions. So that is explained in the Nectar of Devotion. So the different emotions which are there, bhavs. First of all, the permanent sthai bhav is there, the permanent mood. So that is the gopis, they think Krishna is our beloved. That is the sthai bhav. But then, in the gopis' moods, everything is included. So in the highest, everything is included. For example, the Vatsalya Bhav, the parental feelings. Sometimes the gopis, they have parental feelings towards Krishna. Vatsalya Bhava is manifesting sometimes. And they think that Krishna is our best friend. Sakhya Bhava may sometimes manifest. And they think also that I'm the servant of Krishna. The Dasya Bhava is there too, sometimes. So, but the permanent ecstasy is Thai Bhava, so that is Krishna is our beloved. That is the Madhurya Bhava, the Gopi Bhava. The most exalted relationship, transcendental mellow, also known as Ras, Madhurya Ras, between Krishna and the Gopis. And so, the Gopis, so they have this transcendental love for Krishna, but they are always very humble and thinking themselves very insignificant. So they have these transcendental emotions coming. That is explained as 33 Vyabhichari Bhav. Sometimes happy, sometimes distressed, but always Krishna in the center. For Krishna's pleasure, all these different moods are there, emotions. So, of course, again, Prabhupada is explaining in the Nectar of Devotion, then one can fully appreciate these transcendental emotions only when one is on the realized platform, on the platform of the Atma. But still, in order to get some impressions, actually sometimes, in Prabhupada, he wrote the Krishna book. So there are two kinds of samskars. The purificatory ceremonies which are there for the sadhakas, for the householders, like the marriage ceremony, the name-giving ceremony for the child, the first grains, giving the first grains for the child. So these are purificatory rites, giving some impression, some spiritual impressions, so that the devotee, the sadhaka, can advance in his spiritual life, which are very important in the beginning. So therefore they have to be performed. But the main activity, of course, is chanting the holy names, the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But then we have to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. Of course, we have to hear the philosophy. One has to hear from the first to the 9th canto about the different devotees who are performing this Vaidhi Bhakti also. And that will help one further in our path to the higher realm of devotional service. But then here this is descriptions of the 10th canto. So there are actually internal samskars. These are giving the internal impressions which will help us eventually to come to the higher stage. So the exchange between Krishna and the gopis. So they're helpful, even though we may not be qualified to fully appreciate and to fully understand the pastimes of Krishna, especially with the gopis. But as it is explained in the same Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadev Goswami at the end of the Rasa Panchadhyaya, about the description, the 5 chapters describing the Rasa dance. So there is explaining at the end, after he was actually questioned by Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj, he saw that there's so many persons here who are also listening, and he could see, that is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also in his purport to these verses, that he saw that not everyone was actually fully qualified to appreciate Krishna's pastimes with the Brijvasis and especially with the gopis. Therefore he was asking Parikshit Maharaj, was asking Shukadev Goswami about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. And then Shukadev Goswami is replying to him towards the end of that chapter, 30, the last chapter of the dealing with the Rasa Lila, the Rasa dance, and explaining there, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Deham Astitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krira Ya Sutra Tat Paro Bhavet. So the translation is there. When the Lord assumes a human-like body to show mercy to his devotees, he engages in such pastimes as will attract those who hear about them to become dedicated to him. So of course here it's mentioned that he's assuming a human-like body. But actually that is Krishna's eternal form. His Satchidananda form is there. We have a body here in this material world which is actually perverted reflection of the spiritual realm, of the bodies in the spiritual realm. So the human-like body. So he is, but the actual meaning here is that anugrahaya, to show mercy to his devotee, is coming to this world, and kriraha is performing these pastimes, and then shrutva, those who are hearing this pastime, tatpara, and those who are dedicated to him, not just hearing but dedicated to Krishna, bhavet, so they actually become attracted to him. They become attracted to Krishna, and they get benefited, and they can advance in the spiritual life. And so the disciples of Srila Prabhupada in the purport, they're explaining from Jiva Goswami, his explanation. So Jiva Goswami is also one of the commentators. He has written the Satsandarbhas, explaining about, very elaborate also about the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. He has given actually the explanation and establishing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, defeating all the other persons with their conceptions. So also very important books, the Satsandarbhas by Jiva Goswami. So he's explaining in this connection that when Krishna descends to this world, so in his 200 form, Shyama Sundar is in his original form, that is out of kindness to the conditioned souls, so that they can understand him. So therefore he's performing his pastimes. And of course we know Prabhupada used to say that Krishna means the all-attractive. So he's performing these pastimes here to attract the conditioned souls. And then, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further is explaining that these affairs between the Krishna and the gopis, these transcendental loving affairs, they have an inconceivable spiritual potency, to attract the polluted heart of the conditioned souls. And so anyone who is actually hearing with a pure, simple heart these narrations between Krishna and the gopis will be attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna and become his devotee. And then the last verse also, of course, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so he has given the most lengthy explanations in this 10th canto. So there's a wonderful book, Sara Artha Darshini, about the whole 10th canto. And there, so especially Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport, they are most enlivening and most actually helpful for us, for our proper understanding these wonderful pastimes, and so that we can appreciate them, understand them, and become absorbed. So, and then, let me see the last verse of this chapter. That is a famous verse. Vikritidam varajavadabiridam cha Vishnu shadan vito anushinuyat attavarnayatya bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam ridrogam ash apahoti acharena dhira. That is explaining that anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will become quickly sober, dhira, and conquer lust, the disease of the heart, rit rogam. So that is a kind of false stuti. So many times at the end of the chapter, the great sages, they're giving blessings actually by hearing. What is the result of hearing this narration? Throughout the Bhagavatam we can see. So that one may go to Vaikuntha, one may become successful in all his endeavors or whatever. But here the point is that, which he's making, and the blessings are there, that if one is hearing faithfully, Shraddhanvita, with faith, of course from the devotees who are experienced, and if he is serving the Lord, then he will attain the pure devotional service, and then he can become free from all the anarthas in the heart. So, as we know, especially the different anarthas, 4 kinds of anarthas, one can become free from all of these anarthas. So some sometimes question that how can we hear about the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis? We are not qualified. But here it is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that even if the anarthas are there, so if we listening carefully then, so they will be destroyed. So that is the proof that even if one is not yet advanced, one may hear, but it should be in the association of the Vaishnavas who are more advanced, and one should be always ready to serve the Lord full-heartedly, following all the rules and regulations, and only slowly but surely entering into the Raganuga Bhakti, the platform of spontaneous devotional service. So in this first verse, so the setting of the scene is there by Shukadeva Goswami, the pure devotee of the Lord. So one more point is, so that although he may be a parrot, one may think, but the parrot is just a simple bird. How he can understand all these things? The confidential affairs between Krishna and the gopis. But in the spiritual realm, although from one point of view, so the gopis are of course most exalted, and then how the other entities may understand about these confidential pastimes. But by the mercy of the Lord, everything is possible. Even for example, Madhavinda Puri, it is mentioned that it is a Kalpa Vriksha tree in the spiritual world. It is a tree, Madhavinda Puri, a Kalpa Vriksha tree. And it can give 5 kinds of fruits. The fruit of Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. So, means although it is a tree in the spiritual realm, a Kalpa Vriksha tree, but still, he has transcendental emotions for Krishna. Even the Madhurya Bhav, otherwise how he can give? So, and the parrots also. So they are there and they can see whatever Radha Krishna, whenever they are performing the pastimes, so then they are glorifying them also. And the creepers. So, but of course not everyone has this kind of emotions. Like for example, those in Sakha Bhav, mostly they simply have the friendship. But then there are some of the Sakhas, the Priyanama Sakhas, who are very confidential friends of Krishna. They are a little younger than Krishna. And they are helping in the pastimes between Radha and Krishna. So Shukadeva Goswami, the great Vaishnav who spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam, having heard from his father Vyasadeva, so he is speaking, although he is a parrot in Krishna Lila, but he is speaking about the wonderful pastimes of Krishna, and especially here in this connection with the gopis. And so he's explaining how Krishna is entering and And together, so he's mentioning the friends of Krishna. Sa go gopalaka, so means the cows and the cowboys. So as we know that every day Krishna is taking out the cows and the calves, as Braja Sundar Prabhu was also explaining this morning, and as we have read and heard, so every day, so he's taking them out. Although Mother Yashoda, she doesn't want Krishna to go every day, because she has so much love and sometimes she just wants to keep him. But then Nanda Baba is telling her, no, you must let him go. He should go. He's a gop. It is his duty to go. And all the gopas are there waiting for Krishna. Waiting for Krishna. They're calling Krishna, Krishna, please come, please come. We want to play like children. You can see also children. They are always hurrying up with eating, and they want to simply go away. The friends are waiting. Even Krishna is taking his breakfast in Nanda Bhavan with his father, and so many preparations are there. Even the gopis are making wonderful preparations. But then Krishna, it is mentioned that he is eating very quickly and little bit, and then he's ready to go out because the friends are calling him. And then Mother Yashoda has to tell him, no, you hardly ate anything, you have to eat more. Like a mother is saying to the children, no, you have to eat more, you have to grow up, you have to become strong. But they want to play, so Krishna also wants to play. And then he goes and he plays with his friends. Of course, taking out the calves, and first the calves and later the cows, and taking care of them. But of course, because they have so much love, the cows and the calves, he doesn't have to take much care of them. They're naturally just around him. And if sometimes you go a little far away and Krishna is noticing, then he's playing the flute and he's calling them. Or he knows all the cows' names. 9 lakh cows his father has. 9 lakhs, 900,000. And he has also mala. We have a japa mala and we chant Hare Krishna. He has also japa mala with 108 beads. But he's not chanting Hare Krishna. But he is counting the 108 groups of cows are there. So then he's seeing that all of them are there when he's coming back, especially when he's coming back. Then he has to bring all of them back. And he knows all of them. He's the Supreme Lord. He knows all their names. So sometimes one cow is going a little far away and Krishna knows which one, and then he's calling her. Or playing the flute, calling that specific cow. And then the cow or the calf, and that cow or calf is immediately running back to Krishna. And then they're all going back. So here the Sharat Ritu is there. So here in the West we only have 4 seasons, as we know. We have some kind of summer is there, right? It's a little hot and again raining, is a little cold again. But some summer is there. And then is autumn, it's getting a little bit cold. And then the winter season, very cold. And then spring season, gets a little warm, it's a little pleasant, not so cold anymore. Then a little hot, but then again raining and fresh, very pleasant. So 4 seasons are there and they're coming and going. But in Bharatvarsha, so in India, there are 6 seasons. So the Shishi Ritu, the winter season is there, and that is always 2 months. The seasons are 2 months. And then Vasanta Ritu, the spring season is there for 2 months. And then after the Grishma Ritu, the summer season. And after the summer season comes the Varsha Ritu, the rainy season. A beautiful description also in the Bhagavatam. Because summer it is very hot, especially in India. Then everybody is looking for the rain to come. And then have beautiful festivals also, like Haryali Tej. Because everything is becoming green, Haryali. And Tej, that is Braj Bhasha, means the third day of the lunar month. We say Tritiya in Sanskrit. So Hariyali Tej, everything becomes green. And then they observe a festival in Braj. Actually, I'll be just arriving on that day in Braj. Hariyali Tej. And all the deities, they are wearing green cloth. And the altar, all the altars are decorated with leaves, green leaves. So very beautiful. And celebrating the coming of the rainy season practically. So many utsavas, so many festivals are there. Prabhupada was saying, so that in Vrindavan every day is a festival actually. Every day is Mahotsav, every day. So we're performing sometimes an Utsav, but in Braj, every day is a festival. For the gopis especially. Every day Krishna is, for them it is every day they see Krishna just as the first time they feel, oh so beautiful, so wonderful. Navayovana, Kishore, so beautiful, ever fresh. Like new experience every day, increasing the transcendental pleasure. So then after the Vasant Ritu is the Sharad Ritu. So it is sometimes explained as fall here, it is translated as the fall season, or pre-autumn. Well, we in Vrindavan call it the second summer, because it is quite hot also. Because in Vrindavan there's not much rain, and it's still a little hot. And then when there's no rain, then it is again hot. Like 40 degrees. Summer 45, 46, 48. And one time I was in Vrindavan, there was no rainy season, 1982. There was no rain. And then it was hot for like 5 months. Very difficult, but somehow we survived. And many times no electricity at that time, no AC, no generator, no backup. But still, by Krishna's mercy, we survived. So we call it the second summer, but here Sharad Ritu, because it's still a little hot. But then as time passes by, it gets a little fresh, because the days are becoming smaller, and then evening times is cool. And there's as explained here, Vayunavatam, there's a breeze, a very nice breeze. Dhira Samira Yamuna Tire. So that is by one very beautiful, a song by Jayadev Goswami explaining Dhira Samira Yamuna Tire Vasati Vanamali. There Krishna is coming when the breeze is there, with a beautiful garland. And then of course gopis are there, and then the breeze is there, and he's seeing the gopis and the veil of the gopis. So very beautiful descriptions are there of the very pleasing breeze at this time, especially with the Sharad Ritu in the evening. So when they're coming back from the pasturing ground, from the pasturing fields, go duli samai, go duli, go the cow. Of course also as Govardhan, knowledge is there. Different meanings of go in Sanskrit means also the senses of the cow. So go duli samai, in the evening. Go duli, duli means the dust. When the cows are coming back, Krishna and Balaram are coming back with the cowherd boys and the gopas and the cows and the calves. So there's like a cloud of dust from the hooves of the cows and the calves. The dust from the ground is coming up and it's like a cloud. So this time it's coming back. And this is actually considered very auspicious. And in India, many times, people when they get married, they want to get married at this time. Goduli Samai. That is auspicious time. So because anyway, the women, they take so much time in decoration, they can never get ready by noon time. So they have to get ready a little later. But Goduli Samai, very auspicious. And it is mentioned different kinds of bath are there. When we take bath in the morning is Varun Snan. We take bath with the water, normal water, And the god of the water is Varun Dev. So that is Varun Snan. There is also Prithvi Snan, that you take the holy mud from the holy Braj or from the bank of the holy river like Ganga Yamuna, you put on your body. That is a kind of Snan. What is the meaning of Snan? Of bathing, to purify the body and purifying the consciousness. By bathing with water, the body is purified and the consciousness. Even by putting earth, holy earth on the body, which is good for the body also, it is purifying the body, purifying the consciousness. But when we go on the altar, we have to take bath with water also. Just to let you know. Not that you think you bathe yourself with mud and then I go on the altar, no. And then also then there is the mantra snan. By chanting mantras you can get purified. And manasa snan, by remembering the Lord, then your consciousness is purified and externally you're pure also. And then there is also Goduli Snan. If the dust which has been raised by the cows from the ground that discover your body, that is also kind of bath and you get purified. Because the cows, they're very dear to Krishna. They're worshipable. All the demigods are residing in the cow. And then there's a Dibya Snan. There's a transcendental Snan, almost transcendental, but it is still in this material world also. That is happening quite often here in India. I saw also a few times. When the sun is shining and the clouds are coming and it is raining. And then there is a Indradhanush, there is a rainbow. So if you take bath when the sun is shining, it is raining and there is a rainbow. Dibya Snan. So a few times I took a Dibya Snan in India. So, so very auspicious time when they're coming back. So Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna is never alone. Very rarely he is alone. We cannot say never, but very rarely he is alone. Very rarely. Mostly is accompanied. As explained here. Sa go gopalaka achyuta. Achyuta Krishna. Who is infallible, who is always transcendental. So he's mostly accompanied here during the day by his friends and by Balaram and of course the cows and the calves. And night time, Gopal Stri, Kasturi Tilakam Lalata Patale Vaksastale Kaustubam Nasagre Varamoktidam Karatale Venukare Kankanam Sarvangari Chandanam Salatam Kante Chamuktavali Gopastri Pariveshtato Vijayate Gopala Churamani, who is the crest jewel of all the Gopas. Gopastri Pariveshtito. Pariveshtito is surrounded by the Gopis. That is at night time, when everybody else is sleeping. In Braj. As we know in India, all the chokidars, the watchmen, nighttime they're supposed to watch, but because they're working at day, at nighttime they're also sleeping. That we can see in Vrindavan, those who live in Vrindavan or those who have been. Even in Golok, at nighttime, by Krishna's arrangement, the watchmen are also sleeping. So Krishna and Radha can get out and meet. And noon time is in Radhakund, Shamakund. Is sneaking away from the Gopas. They are there in the pasturing grounds during the day, but at noon time, at this time now, he'll be in Radhakund, with Srimati Radharani, the Gopis performing pastimes there. But here is describing how the Sharat Ritu is there. So, Sharat, so the fall season or before the autumn season. Hemanta Ritu, that is the autumn season. So it is very pleasant, especially in the evening time. The cool breeze is there. So cool breeze is there. And then the Sugandhinaha, Padmakara. So the lotus flowers are there. And other flowers. Sugandhina, Gandhina. So Gandha is there, the scent. And Sugandha, very sweet. All the flowers are extremely sweet, especially when Krishna is there. In the spiritual world, or when Krishna was here, all the flowers were so fragrant. So beautiful. And then, Swachha Jalam, Jalam, water, Swachha, it is pure, crystal clear, the Jamuna river, crystal clear. And and of course, they were taking bath there, the cows and the gopas, and sometimes Krishna with the gopis also, they're taking a bath, and everyone is drinking the water. Even when I first came to Vrindavan in 1980, we used to go almost every day to the Jamuna, take a bath, especially when it was getting a little hot. And we used to drink the water. We used to take the water and offer to the deities for the seva. But now it is not possible anymore, unfortunately, because so much pollution is there, and they made a dam above of Delhi, so that hardly any water is coming there from the Jamuna. So by Krishna's time, everything is pure. The environment is completely pure. And it's not too hot and not too cold. Like now, Vrindavan, hot in the summer, very hot, winter quite cold. But Krishna's time, it is not too hot and not too cold. The 6 seasons are there. But they are permanently there serving Krishna. Especially in Golok. In Golok, the 6 seasons are there permanently and they are serving Krishna. But even when Krishna is coming here with his abode, his associates, the season also there. And it is not too hot and not too cold, it is very pleasant. And if it is a little bit too hot, then the clouds are coming, as explained in this chapter also. And then drops of water are coming, so that Krishna gets a little bit refreshed. So that is, so the first verse is explaining how, by Shukadeva Goswami, how Krishna and and his friends, the gopas, and the cows are entering. They are returning actually into Braj. So very beautiful description is there. So that is the first verse. So we'll speak on the second verse for 10 minutes, and then it is time for prasadam, right? Kushamidavana Raja Sushmi Biringa Dvijakula Gusta Sarasarin Mahidram Madhapatirava Chayanaga Sahapashapala Balachukujjavenum. The lakes, rivers, and hills of Vrindavan resounded with the sounds of maiden bees and flocks of birds moving about the flowering trees. In the company of the cowboys and Balaram, Madhupati Sri Krishna entered that forest, and while herding the cows, he began to vibrate his flute. So here, in the purport, the disciples of Prabhupada are mentioning, so Chukuja Venu, so the Venu Gita is there. So many verses now will be there, and so describing about the Venu, Krishna playing his flute. Chukuja means vibrated. Venum, he vibrated his flute. So while herding the cows, so he was playing the flute very beautifully. So transcendental, wonderful vibration was created there. Venunad. Of course, not only Krishna has the flute, but most of the Brijavasis, most of the Gopas, they also had flute. Then the bugles and the flute, many of them have peacock feather also, but not always. But Krishna always has a peacock feather and always has a flute. Therefore, when we take darshan of the deities also, the pujari has to make sure always that 2 things are there, the peacock feather and the flute. That has to be there on Krishna always. If Balaram doesn't have, no problem, but Krishna always must have. So that's when we teach also deity worship, we have to mention that also. And so mostly it is like this. Sometimes the pujari forget. oh no, I forgot, and then you have to close the curtain again. Sometimes, if somebody is very much transcendently surcharged with spiritual emotions, like one wonderful devotee in the past, Indra Prabhu, who started a 24-hour kirtan, who was doing almost 24 years. For sometimes he was also dressing Radha Shyama Sundar. And one time, I was there taking darshan from outside. I was just before I came, the pujari there. He was before me. We were good friends already from New York, and we met there. And then, so he was there for some time on the altar, for some reason. And then he opened the doors, the curtains. Jai, Radha Shyama Sundar ki, Jai. And I see, oh, Krishna, Radha Shyam so beautiful. And Krishna doesn't have the flute. Where is the flute? In Radharani's left hand. And I was so happy, Jai, Radharani stole the flute. Like many times it has happened at noontime. But then some other senior devotees, what is this? Why Krishna doesn't have the flute? And they chastised Indra Prabhu. And then very heavily. And then he was a little bit disappointed. And next day he dressed the deities very simple. Because there were some senior devotees, GBCs, and they were so heavy on him not to do this anymore. So then actually, he told me, why don't you dress the deities? Which I then did. At that time I was in Gurukul as a teacher. I said, okay, because it was anyway a little bit too much dealing with the kids. What to do? So I thought that is a better situation for me to be pujari. Then I was pujari, and later I became head pujari 2 years after. That was 1990. 1990, I remember still, just before the summer. And I just had the summer break. The Chutti was there for the school. All the children were going home. And then he asked me to serve the deities, and then I said, okay, and then I started. So that was by Krishna's transcendental arrangement. The Leela is there. The Sakshat Bhagavan is here. Krishna is directly here, and the pastimes are sometimes with devotees, but we have to be careful. At home you can do that more often, but in the temple you have to sometimes be a little controlled and not put the flute in Radharani's hand. Like when I came here, every day I was seeing Krishna's necklace around Radharani's right hand. I was thinking, that's nice, 1 or 2 days, but then it was every day. Then I told Mataji, well, maybe every day is not the best thing. Because, we are ISKCON temple and we have to follow some kind of standard and control our bhav sometimes. And anyway, Radharani is giving blessings here. There is Ashirvad, Mudra, giving blessings with the right hand. Whereas in Vrindavan, she did a dancing pose. She's dancing. That's more Ras Leela is there. Vrindavan is the ultimate place, Radha Krishna's place. And so there, and Prabhupada was saying in the dancing pose, and so it is the quintessence of all, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And he was saying, so Radharani is in dancing pose here in Vrindavan. And if Radharani would stop dancing, the whole show will be stopped. The whole show of the seva here will be stopped if she would stop dancing. So we have to let Radharani dance with Krishna. We help her in her dance with Krishna. So that is there, the gopis and the manjaris in our sampradaya, they are helping Radha Krishna, that they come together, that they can perform their pastimes. So 2 things are always there. The flute and the peacock feather in Krishna's hands. So wonderful descriptions are there here by Shukadev Goswami, and then the Acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is explaining also, so the beautiful description is there, how beautiful Vrindavan is there, lakes, rivers, and hills are there, and the trees are there, flowering trees, and then the bumblebees are there. And many birds are there flying around, parrots especially also. And they're all glorifying Krishna. When Krishna was there, as explained, the parrots, they're glorifying Krishna. And it's explained also in this chapter by the gopis, who they actually are, these parrots. And even the bumblebees also, they're glorifying Krishna by their sound. And that is explained, when Krishna is coming, they're around Krishna, so much attracted to the lotus face of Krishna, and they're all dear to Krishna, and they're all giving pleasure to Krishna. And therefore it is explained in India, so in Bharatvarsha, that especially in Braj and Vrindavan, that the bumblebees are very auspicious. And somehow nowadays, because now they're making so many buildings there, almost skyscrapers they're making there in Vrindavan, and so there are less parrots, less peacocks, less bees, bumblebees, everything is less. So I'm happy to come here, because we are surrounded by the 12 forests here. We can remember Braj. Here you go all around, forest, forest, forest. You can walk here and you hardly see anything, any person, hardly in the forest, so beautiful. Then you can try to look for Krishna in the forest. Where are you, Krishna? Behind this bush, that bush. So we can remember the 12 forests of Braj. Beautiful Jamuna river is there, a little small, but still. We are small anyway. If we see our size, we are in this body, we are insignificant. So beautiful river. And the other bumblebee. Here we can see many bumblebees. And that is considered auspicious. So very auspicious place here. Because Radha Madan Mohan are here. And so somehow the environment is actually conducive. And so actually by reading this description, then and hearing about this description, which are mentioned here and speaking, then while we are chanting, while we are going around, this will come in our consciousness. So therefore you must hear about Krishna's pastimes, in Braj especially. And then his loving exchange with all the Brijbasis, with even the animals. Every day he has a loving exchange with everyone in Braj. The trees is going, passing the trees, the bushes, he's caressing them. And the birds, they are looking at him, he's looking at them. And just like the sun, everyone, like in India, they worship the sun. The sun is worshipable also actually. Even those who are chanting Gayatri, supposed to meditate on the sun externally. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. Everybody knows in India, Tat Savitur Varenyam. It's supposed to be secret mantra, but in India everybody knows. Even sometimes you pick up the phone, you call somebody and you hear Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam. So, and that is actually externally is the glorification of the sun. But for the Vaishnavas it is Krishna Surya. We meditate on Krishna, the divine sun. And the sun is anyway getting the light from Krishna's effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti, and the moon also. Therefore Krishna is known as Krishna Surya also. Krishna Chandra is the transcendental sun, the transcendental moon. And even the sun and moon are his eyes also, by the way, as explained in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is the source of everything. So the transcendental sun. So the Gayatri is there, and yes, that is a beautiful Krishna, a wonderful Krishna entering into Braj. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining very beautifully about wonderful Vrindavan and how Krishna is an exchange. Just like the sun, so in India they worship the sun, that was the point, and everybody can see the sun. And you can see in some places, early morning, in holy places like you may go to Varanasi, hundreds of people that are worshipping the sun in the morning, offering water, argya to the sun. worshipable. But the ultimate object of our worship, that is Krishna. So the sun is then actually reciprocating with everyone because he's a presiding deity there also, the sun god. And if there's no qualified person to be the sun god, then Krishna himself becomes the sun god to an expanded form. Surya Narayan sometimes. So there's a reciprocation. At the same time, 1,000 people all over India may be there in different places. And there's an exchange. And even ordinary person, especially in winter, the sun is very welcome. Oh, so nice to be in the sun. Then we feel the sun, so nice. And everyone can feel the sun. The sun is giving the light to everyone, the heat to everyone. Every single person. Thousands of persons, maybe there are millions of persons. So similarly in Braj, Krishna is the center of the whole spiritual and material world actually. So what to speak of Braj? Braj is actually the center of the whole spiritual and material world. And Krishna is the center of Braj. And so he's reciprocating with every living entity in Braj. All the trees, the birds, the animals, all the Brijvasis, everyone. Loving exchanges there every day. Of course, some they have more than others. And the gopis, they are actually, of course, most exalted, most fortunate. But still, you also feel that others, they are more fortunate. And therefore, here they're glorifying, well, to some extent, they're glorifying the flute, but as I explained, some different emotions are there. And they're a little bit envious of the flute also. Why? Because Krishna is always having the flute with him. So they're feeling, what did the flute actually do that Krishna is always having the flute with him? And then he's playing the flute and he's kissing the flute. And they feel that actually Krishna should kiss us. Why is kissing the flute? And yeah, and so many explanations are there and moods are there. So very wonderful, it is there. So Krishna is reciprocating with everyone. So he's very beautifully playing the flute. So even the other gopas sometimes are playing the flute. But when Krishna is playing the flute, that is something else. Nobody can match Krishna in anything he's doing, especially playing the flute. Except Srimati Radharani. So that is something else. Krishna is the best dancer, but then Radharani is dancing better. And same with the flute playing. Even some say that actually, who taught Krishna how to play the flute? Some say it is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani ki. Yeah, so we are worshipping Krishna. Yeah. But of course, we have so much love for Srimati Radharani also. Especially in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. One time, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was in Braj and he was in Radhakund. They were doing Braj Mandal Parikrama. That's actually where Prabhupada also met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada one time when everybody was going for Parikrama. And then he noticed, and Prabhupada was fanning. Prabhupada was asking some question. He thought, let me just speak to my Guru Maharaj and hear something from him. And then one or two disciples were there, one was fanning him, and then he was asking and he was listening. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was saying to one of the disciples was there, Abhay Babu is listening very nicely to what I'm saying. So Abhay Charan De, what is his name? So he was called Abhay Babu, affectionately by even his spiritual master or his god brothers. And Prabhupada used to say, because I listen carefully for my spiritual master, therefore now I can speak very nicely. So that was in Radhakund. So also then when they were in Radhakund, Bhakti Siddhanta was doing parikrama with his disciples. And then there's one place nearby in Braj called Bharatpur. There's a beautiful place also. There's a bird sanctuary there, by the way. Many birds are there. Still beautiful place. And so the king was there with his family, the queen and some family members and the ministers. They're also doing parikrama. And then one of the disciples was telling to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, look Prabhupada, the king of Jaipur has so much, of Bharatpur has so much love also. He's doing parikrama of Radhakund and Chamakund. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada was saying, yes, but his mood and our mood are just the opposite. He has love for Krishna, and because Radharani has something to do with Krishna, therefore they also respect Radharani. But ours is just the opposite. We have love for Radharani, and because Krishna has something to do with Radharani, therefore we respect Krishna also. So, of course, that is in a very confidential way. To only people we don't say. We say, yes, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that is Tattva Vichar. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and with the servants of Krishna, we have to serve Krishna. But then there's Lila Vichar, the consideration of the pastimes. And there sometimes Radharani is supreme. She's the best dancer, better than Krishna. And best flute player. And best? Huh? Wrestler, best wrestler, sometimes defeating Krishna in wrestling. But very rarely, because Krishna is that he cannot accept. That in wrestling that she's defeating him, no. In other things is okay, but not wrestling. That is a pastime actually. One time they were wrestling together, Radharani and Krishna. But then it is mentioned Krishna easily defeated Radharani. But in other ways, in other times when they're playing some game, dice, in Radhakund, then Krishna is losing many times. So, wonderful pastimes. So that is wonderful pastimes. They are unlimited pastimes, and the acharyas, they have described in their transcendental literatures, our acharyas like Gopal Champu, Ananda Vrindavan Champu, and other books about the wonderful exchange between Krishna and all the Brijabasis, but especially also about Krishna and the Gopis. So Krishna is very expert in playing the flute. Chukuchabenum, so that he has explained here. And another point is making here Madhupati, see Krishna. So Madhu of course means honey, or may also be Madhusudan, the bee, but Madhav also the spring season. Madhu is also the spring season. So the personification is actually that ultimately, of course Krishna is the personification of everything ultimately, which is beautiful. So that Krishna is Cupid personified, the love of God. Or here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining Madhupati. So Krishna is actually the personification of the spring, or the husband of the spring season. And then it becomes very beautiful. But even here, this time it was actually Sharad Ritu, just before autumn. But still, it is very beautiful. And as explained before, all the seasons may be present at all the time when Krishna is there. So then when Krishna is there, because the trees which have flowers, they feel so much ecstasy, they can bloom any time when Krishna is there. Because they have love for Krishna, and then they will offer the flowers to Krishna. So therefore it was just like spring season, it is explained here, although it was autumn. So the forest was very beautiful with spring flowers, although it was autumn. So everything is possible when Krishna is there. Krishna makes the impossible possible. So Krishna came, and then along with him was Sa Pashupala Bala. So Krishna was there, and the cows were there, and Pashupala, that means those who are taking care of the animals. Pashupal, that is the Gopal, the cowboys. Gopal, Pala means to take care of. So these the cowboys were there with Krishna. But at that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining, only Krishna was playing the flute at that time. And so the gopis are describing about the wonderful flute of Krishna. Krishna playing the flute. So he's making a point that this time, when they were seeing everybody, only Krishna was playing the flute. And so they are glorifying that kind of Venunad, the sound of Krishna's flute. So these are the first two verses. It is 22:2. We have to stop here. Hare Krishna. So I hope I can finish within the next 2 days the remaining 18 verses. I have to compress it. But for Krishna, so we pray to Krishna that we can do it, and for Krishna nothing is impossible if we take shelter. Like for example, Ras Leela. In the one night of Ras Leela, because the gopis, they were so eager to be with Krishna, not just a few hours, they wanted to be for always. So he put one night of Lord Brahma in this one Sharad Ritu night, in this one night. So Krishna does the impossible possible. Means millions of years he put in a few hours. So how Krishna is doing that, we cannot understand. So especially not with our material intelligence, but when we are spiritually inclined and situated on the transcendental platform, then we can understand to some extent some of Krishna's wonderful pastimes and what he's doing. So just like Krishna was putting so many years in just a few hours, so I hope that I can put so many wonderful explanations which are there, which are practically unlimited explanations are there about these 18 remaining verses. So I hope I can, by Krishna's mercy, put them in the next 2 days in 3 hours. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.